There she is. I am
Good
loving
morning.
it, Mama.
How you
Good.
doing?
Oh, it is another wicked day in paradise.
Man, it has been way too long.
Yes, it has. How are you? How is you?
I is good, great. No complaints. Not that it would matter if I did. How about you?
The same. Very much the same.
Okay. So you survived your snow day, did you?
Yes, I did. Barely. Barely. Well, the thing is we had the snow day, and then they got like 20 teachers out because of COVID. So it's homeschool until further it's virtual learning until further notice. So,
You know,
here we go again.
as a parent and a former public educator, if our elected officials would actually provide the schools with the things that they need to be able to open safely, it would make sense to send our kids back to school. But when you've got teachers who don't have the things that they need, including ventilation in these older buildings, what are they supposed to do? You basically want me to show up to die.
Well, yeah. I mean, they can't, we pay taxes and the school system can't even get these teachers glue sticks, let alone ventilation, proper PPE gear. Yeah, I mean, that's
that part.
That's not going to happen.
So I understand both sides because I definitely understand the need for the emotional growth, the community that children feel when they're in a classroom, and the social skills that they learn while they're in the classroom, some good, some not so good, just saying. But at the same time, you can't expect these folks to keep putting themselves in danger like that if our elected officials are not willing to actually support them. So, but that's just my opinion. We're not going to get political today.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, it's not like they're going to pay them hazard pay or anything like that. So
nope.
Let's be real about it.
No, they're going to want you to just keep on showing up. And then when you call out sick, they're going to say, are you sure? How sick are you? Do you have a fever? Well, right. You can still come in because that's what they're doing to nurses now and doctors and anybody else in the medical field. See, I promised myself I wasn't going to get riled up this morning. And here we go. First back on conversation. You getting me riled up. What are we talking about today?
Well, anything and everything. Okay. I mean, we can, I mean, it's been so long. I mean, I know. It could be 100 questions. But you recently had a move.
Yes, I did. Phenomenal move.
And that went great. How you
That's just the back of it. I was doing the Mardi Gras decorations yesterday because that's what season we're in down here. You know, everybody else puts their Christmas trees up. We just take off the Christmas decorations and put up the Mardi Gras stuff on the tree. So
very nice.
But it is much bigger. I'm in about double the space that I was in. And that gives me more room for retail, but it also gives me more space for my classes. The center that I'm in, better visibility, better parking, better management. And all of these business owners around here are amazing. It's like this little community where everybody looks out for each other. And you don't often see that, especially with business owners. They tend to just focus on themselves, but these folks come down and, are you good? Do you need anything? Hey, I'm going to get lunch. Do you want anything to eat? It's like, can we have more of this, please? Right. Everywhere, could we get more of this?
Countrywide, it'd be nice. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and sinners, this episode of The Rum and Bones is brought to you by the good folk at Grey Hedge. The folks over at Grey Hedge create some of the most beautiful and powerful spiritual products I have ever worked with. From pendulum scrying mirrors and handcrafted wands to a staggering array of spiritual oils, curios, and candles. The good folks at the Gray Hedge have what you need for all your spiritual and occult needs. So hop on over to www.etsy.com/shop/grayhedge, or you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The links will be in the description below. Come see what magic waits for you over the hedge at the Gray Hedge. Before we get started here, for those people that don't know, this is the one and only Mama Toni Milburn, owner, operator, founder of Ebony Sage Apothecary.
Hey,
and where are you located now?
I am at 315 Highway 90, Suite H, and that's in Waveland, Mississippi. I'm quite literally directly across the highway from my past location. You can't miss me.
Excellent. And if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
www.ebonysage.com. You can email me at toni@ebonysage.com. You can also send me messages on Facebook, Ebony Sage Apothecary. Everything is Ebony Sage. You can find me. If you can't find me, you are not looking hard enough.
Right. Google is your friend.
Yes, it is.
Now, me and you have talked back and forth a couple of times about brick and mortar stores versus the online business. And within the last decade or so, the online community, spiritual community has exploded. A lot of folks have their online stores. I have my online store. And a lot of people have gone back and forth. A lot of people have started with the online and gone to brick and mortar. A lot of people started with brick and mortar and have now gone to online. Now, you just within the last couple of years have gone to the brick and mortar. And as we've discussed before, that comes with its own trials and tribulations. And how has it been treating you? How have you found it? Do you like it better than the online?
I don't know if I like it. Well, yeah, I do like it better because I get FaceTime with my clients. Like I can actually physically meet and talk to. I was lucky in that my online store was open for three years before I decided to move into a brick and mortar. And the only reason I moved into a physical space was because my husband threatened to pull me out if I brought another herb in my house. So yeah, no more herbs, no more crystals. Well, that's not going to happen. So give me a space where I can buy these things. So I did. I found that I opened 3 months before COVID hit. So I opened in January. We had the shutdown in March. However, because my online presence was still very much intact, it didn't really affect my business very much. I was one of the lucky ones because so many people did lose their business. And those who, I firmly believe when people need me, they're going to find me. Like when I'm needed, they will find me.
Same.
And during COVID, during all of that uncertainty, during all of that confusion and loss and all of that, that's still going on. A lot of people were trying to connect with their spiritual selves because you had to sit down for 2 years. You got to sit with yourself and you realize, I don't really like myself very much. I might need to check this. And so people were coming and looking for answers that they weren't able to find by Google.
Yeah.
So it's I think both of them are good. If you are not a people person, don't get a brick and mortar store. I have my days. I am definitely an introverted extrovert, and I get overwhelmed at times when there's too many people in here. So yeah, don't do this if you don't like folks. If you like doing the products and you like doing the work, stick with online. Stick with online.
So now, if for someone that who's looking to start their own business, not necessarily in the spiritual community, but that's what we know. But for someone that's looking to start their own business, do you have any advice or anything starting out wise?
Oh yeah, I do. I got quite a bit. This is not my first business. This is my third business. I've sold at a profit the previous two. The previous two were not in the spiritual community. First thing, don't be afraid to spend money on experts. You don't know everything. And When you're starting out, you're like really tight-fisted with your money because it's limited, but you save yourself money in the long run by hiring an accountant, by hiring a marketing team, by hiring people who are experts in fields that you may not be, because that also frees up your time to do the things that you really got into business doing. When I first started this, I was trying to do everything by myself. You know, I was doing the accounting, I was doing the AR, the AP, everything. That meant I was putting in 16 to 18-hour days. I'm not doing that no more, because ultimately there has to be work-life balance. So don't be afraid of hiring experts, vet them, make sure that they're good people, get references, and then make sure you have a business plan. Do not treat this like it's a hobby. If it's a legit business, then treat it like a damn business. Get your business plan together. Make sure you have a business bank account. Do the things to solidify yourself within the community. I am the only metaphysical witch store that has a Chamber of Commerce membership. Okay. They take me seriously because I take myself seriously. If you try to do stuff under the table, you don't get a sales tax license for your state if that's what you're supposed to be doing, you will never be able to benefit from any of the things that are out there for businesses. So that's the first bit of advice I can give you.
And I actually, I know quite a few people ran into those problems when it came to a lot of the benefits and stuff that came down the line from the COVID, from the government, subsidies and stuff. They couldn't really claim them in a legitimate way because they didn't have the references. They weren't licensed through the state. They didn't have the tax forms. They just didn't have it. So that is very important. That's a step that when you start off online, like if you start with Etsy and stuff like that, you don't necessarily need those things, and people forget that those things are there and they're supposed to have them when they make that transition from we're doing this on the weekends to now this is my job.
Right.
So yeah, I learned that firsthand 5 or 6 years ago.
It's a hard lesson. It is definitely a hard lesson, and it can cost you quite a bit. It can cost you business loans. It can cost you grants. It can cost you customers, because you're literally not being taken seriously. So yeah, that kind of stuff. When we sell on Etsy, when we use PayPal, they send us a 1099, or I think that's the form that they send at the end of the year that shows how much money you made through them. So we get used to just taking that and filing our taxes. But when you own a business, definitely get an LLC so that your business finances are completely separate from your personal finances. That's how you stay legit. That's how you legit, because then you can show profit and loss. You can show this is how much I'm making. When you get ready to go buy a big purchase, if you're self-employed and you don't have a P&L, basically you're just pulling numbers out of your ass. You're not really giving them legit numbers. They're going to want to see paperwork.
Yep. Now, you have a long list of accolades.
I've been busy.
Why don't you gloat a little bit?
Oh, I don't do that well. Well, I'm very educated. I have several college degrees. I am a certified doula. I'm a master herbalist. I'm an aromatherapist. I'm a retired massage therapist. Please don't come up in here asking for one. I'm a Reiki master. And I am currently studying end-of-life doula, so that I can become a full spectrum doula, which means from birth through the end. Everything that I do, even though I have a lot of accolades, they all play in together, and all of them are about healing. Every single one. It's just a different aspect of it.
Absolutely. Now, as far as the Reiki, sorry. It's not necessarily my cup of tea.
I know it's not.
That's why I'm interested in it. That's why I like to talk to you about it. How did you get into it, and where did you first, where did you become a master?
I started when I was in massage therapy school. And after I graduated, one of the young ladies that I went to school with, she was already a Reiki master. And she was in class one day, we had some assignment to do, and she used how Reiki and massage therapy kind of work together.
Mhm.
And then how those affect the different body systems, because when you learn massage, you're only learning the physical body. You're not learning, your aura. You're not learning any of that, the spiritual body. So she was showing how they all connect. Well, me being me, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. I think I need to go learn this class. So she taught a class, and I took my first certification with her, which is basically learning how to do Reiki on yourself, how to bring it into your own world. And then I took my second level, which is how to do Reiki on other people. And I did that I was a level 2 for about 8 years before I decided to study for my Reiki master. Because that one is, once you go into Reiki master, that's teacher level. And I don't feel like I should be teaching anything that I haven't taken my time to truly master. Like, if master is on any of my titles, it's because I put the work in for it. So, and Reiki is such a beautiful art. Like, to me, it's not even, it's art. One of the things I tell my students is get a dead plant. You're going to need it. Go to the store and find the saddest Charlie Brown plant you can find. Because during the whole time we're in Reiki class, you're going to be practicing on that plant. And I have them take a picture of it from before and then a picture at the end. And it's a whole different plant when we get to the end. So some people need a visual, because Reiki is energy work. So you don't have you're not tangible, you can't see it. So that gives them an actual visual on how this works. So
That's beautiful. That's
let me know when you're ready to get in class. COVID made me move my class online, and I actually found I like it better.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoyed the lecture part online, because before, most classes are done in 2 days. And it's a lot of information for 2 days. Yeah. Breaking it up the way that I did and spreading it out over 4 weeks, it gives you time throughout that week to practice whatever concepts we talked about at the beginning of it. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I will definitely, as soon as I've been psyching myself up with it, it's on the list. As soon as I'm ready, I will definitely be hitting you up.
Please be ready, because you already know I'm gonna put you out if you come up in here cutting up.
I know. I'll be serious. I promise. I'll lay back on the rum a little bit. Which, speaking of, cheers.
Cheers.
Breakfast of Champions.
I don't normally drink this early, but this is a celebration, because we have not seen each other in too long. And the spirits require it. At least mine do. I already had to pour a couple of them for the altars.
Yep, it starts early around here. Now you're also a priestess of Oshun.
Yeah.
Now that is another area of great interest to me, and I know a lot of folks and a lot of people within recent years. Certain roots, people are going back and seeking their roots and seeking paths that have previously been represented in media and Hollywood and things like that, rather very much incorrectly, and people are going back and rediscovering a lot of these traditions and going back to their roots. Now, as someone who has walked that path, how did you get involved with it? Was it something that your family was always into, or is it something that you saw it on your own, or something that came to you?
Well, I'll start with my family practices voodoo. That's our family tradition. So that's what I was raised up in. So I was always raised with the Loa. So that's what I know. At some point, my sister and I both got called by Oshun, and we both ran for quite a bit, because we're like, nope, we got enough over here. We're not going to add that to it. But they were relentless. And so it got to a point where we ended up, and I say we because this was something we did together, and it actually made my sister and I 1,000 times closer than we were before we went through this process. we went and got our head read by a priestess, and she was able to tell us, you know, who is over our head. And by that, it means who's over your seat, your spirit seat. Everybody wants to claim Oshun. I honestly thought I was a Yemiya child because I love mermaids, you know, like all the things that I do is blue. But no, I'm actually a child of Oshun, and Yemiya is my auntie. My sister is also a child of Oshun, but she is a different avatar of Oshun. So everybody is familiar with the gold, the white, the yellow, but there are so many different aspects of her. And my sister's Oshun is white and silver. She's not gold and white. So when we went through our initiation, ooh, oh, when I tell you that these initiations are no joke, that is what I mean. It is not for the weak at heart. You spend a lot of time in isolation, and I'm not going into all of the details because those are private to the different houses. But just know that once you make that commitment, you better stick with it. This is not a half in, half out. I'm going to half-ass it. No. You're either all in or they're going to kick your ass out, period. Like there's no in between. So we went through our initiation, and it was probably one of the most beautiful experiences, even though stressful, and it was a bit scary because I didn't know what to expect. It still ended up being one of the most beautiful things I've ever done. I was initiated into Ifa, and for my own reasons, I stepped away from Ifa, but you cannot step away from your priesthood. Once you've been initiated, you're initiated. So I may not follow the practice of Ifa any longer, but I respect it. And once you're given your warriors and your altars, you don't get to just give them away. Like they're now your responsibility. So my space, I have the Loa on one side and the Orishas on the other side. And there are more spirits living in my house than there are humans. It's not for everybody. It really isn't.
No, it is not.
And not everybody, let me be clear about something. Not everybody has to go through initiation per se. You don't call yourself a priestess or hold a title if you haven't done the work, but you can be part of a house as a devotee. You can find leadership and elders to help educate you on how to properly be a part of these spiritual practices. You don't just, oh, I'm of Oshun, I'm gonna this, I'm gonna that, let me put an altar in. No, ma'am, no, sir, don't do that. Especially not with Oshun. She is not to be trifled with. You can play with her if you want to, but she will turn your life all the way upside down, around and back. So
you find that with a lot of the spirits. And speaking of voodoo, you know, with everybody, you know, wants to cozy up to the Uzulis and the, you know, the barons, and you know.
if only they knew. If only they
Right.
knew.
So it's a little more than just being able to wear cool hats and shit.
Yes, and it's a lot more than just, you know, the outside look of it. Like everybody likes the aesthetic and the shock value that they get by telling someone I practice this or I practice that. But these are these are legitimate ancient practices that deserve respect, and they deserve attention given to learning them, not just claiming them. So if you're going to walk with the Loa and you're going to practice voodoo, find an elder and get properly trained. Don't just start, because you can screw up your entire life being trifle with these guys.
Well, even on a layman's level, I mean, it's the same as any other organized or traditional religious practice. I mean, you don't have to be you don't have to be the Pope to be Catholic.
Right.
You don't have to be a preacher to be Baptist. You know,
exactly.
you don't, you know, nor everybody can be, but not everybody should be. You know, it's
say that again. Say that again.
You know, it's one of those things, you know, that again, the aesthetic, people, you know, they're interested in it. It's fascinating. It's beautiful. It is. It's all those things, you know, but you don't have to collect titles and you know, start your own congregation to enjoy the, you know, the house of the spirits. You know, you don't have to,
Exactly.
you know.
That's exactly why you won't see, I will tell people that I am initiated so that they understand that I know what I'm talking about. I do not walk around with that title attached to my name because I think it's presumptuous for me. I'm not speaking for everybody else. This is just for me. I prefer to just let it be natural, you know, and if you're supposed to walk with them, you'll know. There will be no doubt.
Sure.
And if you're supposed to actually be initiated, they really will not leave you alone. Like, it will be a constant. My sister and I ran for 2 years. I'm not doing that. We already have this over here. This is what our family practices, and da 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 and da 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 and da. Yeah, that didn't work out very well. You see where I'm at, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it all works out for the best, and they have a way of getting their point across, whether you want to hear it or not.
Now, sometimes we tend to make them sound super scary, and that's because they can be. But they are also the most loving, giving, protective energies that you could possibly have around you. I don't fear anyone. Not only do I have Loa and Orisha, but I got my ancestors, so y'all can come for me if you want to, but I don't even need to know what's going on. They've already handled it. So I don't fear anybody because I know that I walk in my truth and I honor them to the best of my ability. And I do as I'm asked to do when they ask me to do it, because that's my job. But they're a caring group. The Baron is one of my favorite ones to work with, and yet there are some people who are scared to even talk to him. And then Papa Legba, you know, they're like, no, why not? You're either going to get a kid or an old man. Like, how can you not have fun with this?
Well, it's, I like to akin it to, you know, when it comes to your grandparents, you know, they're most loving, secure, you know, but if you act a fool, you'll get the wooden spoon. But they still love you, you know.
That's how I use elders as a way to explain altars to people. When you invite an elder to your home, you usually have cleaned your house up. You're not going to let an elder come into a dirty house. You offer them food and drink. You have conversation with them. You make sure that they're comfortable. You try to have the things around that you know that they like. It's the exact same thing. Literally the exact same thing when you have an altar in your house. So remember that.
Absolutely. Now, you know, so you got your store, got your online classes. What can 2022 expect from Miss Toni?
Ooh, a lot.
What you got new on the stove?
Well, let's see. Reiki classes will continue. I have several speaking engagements coming up. One of them I'm really looking forward to is Witch City Tarot in Salem, Massachusetts.
Nice.
I have a class that has been in the making for a minute. It's a 16-week course called Alchemy 101. And that's basically the basics, because I have a whole lot of baby witches coming in here that don't really know where to start. And this is it's not attached to a specific path. It's literally the basics. You take that foundation and walk whatever path you're going to walk, but at least you know, the nuts and bolts of it. So that class is coming. I have an entire men's line coming out finally.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do. I've been playing with the packaging and the scents and all of that. I spilled a whole bunch of oil on my desk the other day. But I have a beard oil, a pre-shave oil, and a beard balm coming out, and I'm working on a men's body wash. I'm
all about that.
Yes. So because the guys come in and they're like, there's nothing in here for me. So I had to fix that. And then for my feminine side, I have a Yoni practice starting. So my sons, in their amazing selves, bought me a Yoni steam chair, which is like the big, not the little squat pot, but an actual chair And when I built my shop, I built a Yoni steam room. So
Nice.
I can actually have people come in and become educated on steaming and what that means, and the spiritual side of it, not just the medicinal side of it.
Mhm.
And then I can actually have folks come in and experience it, or they can buy the do-it-yourself kit and do it at home, either way. So those are just some of the things. We'll be starting our full moon circles again, I
Nice.
think in April. I wanted to do March, but this new variant has me a little concerned.
Yeah.
And those are fun because it's in-house, and it's like just a group of us get together, and everybody has been asking when we're going to start those up. Let's see what else is going on. My Tyla is coming back. Oh my God, that's probably the biggest news ever, because this chick, she is literally the right side of my brain, and she knows what I need done before I even got to ask her to get it done. So she's only coming back part-time, but she will be back, and that allows me to offer more time. So my schedule is changing, which means, right now I take readings before I open and after I close. But with Tyla being here, I will be able to have services available all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then just a few throughout the week. So it gives me more open availability for folks.
Very awesome.
I
Very
think that's
awesome.
it. But I'm going to come up with more stuff as the year goes, because they don't stop. They just
Of
keep,
course.
they're in my ear constantly. Oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? Okay. Let me know how you want me to do that, and we'll get it done. But you're going to have to make a way for it to get done first. So here we
Right.
are.
It's like, open the doors. Open the doors.
Oh, we have our ribbon cutting. I forgot about that. The Chamber of Commerce is doing our grand reopening on Monday, the 17th of this month. So in a couple of weeks, not even a couple of weeks, about a week and a half from now, we'll be
Very
doing our
nice.
ribbon cut. So if you're local and you're in the area, come on by. We're gonna have raffles, giveaways, food. My crazy self, my sisters will be in town. It's just a party. So celebration.
I got to make my way down there eventually.
You've been saying
Uh,
how many years?
I know.
Ooh,
I
did
know.
someone just call you out?
COVID and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I would love to have you come down. I would.
No,
That
it's
would
gonna
be a
be
lot of fun.
it's going to be my first stop. I've been meaning to do a swing through for, as you said, a couple years now. It's definitely going to be my first stop through Mississippi, for sure.
Oh, it's definitely a different place down here. People think Mississippi and they only think of the really bad stuff that happened here. Where I live, it doesn't mean we don't have dumb shit that goes down, but I live south of I-10. So south of I-10 is actually a name brand down here. The people are just completely different. It's a different feel. It's like its own little country as opposed to being part of the state. So
You get a lot of that in a lot of the states in the South. South Carolina has its own, where I'm from, has its own version of that, where you have the now, where history has not moved forward very much, but then you have other places that are melting pots of beauty, and people get along, and it's it's almost a different world in some places.
it's very much a different world. To be very honest with you, one of the things that kept me from opening my shop is that I am anti everything that a conservative would prefer. I'm a Black woman on my second marriage with all kinds of craziness in my world,
How
opening a metaphysical shop in the Bible Belt. I was a little concerned at first, but when I tell you there's more of us out here, and it don't matter the skin color, there are more of us out here than people realize. I mean that. I've had people walk in my shop, and this has taught me not to be judgmental and not to make snap judgments. I had a lady come in here, I think it was the first week I opened, and I promise you, in my head, I'm like, I do not feel like dealing with Bible stuff right now. I really don't. Like I'm already there. She's walking around. I asked her if she needed help. She said, no, I'm just going to look around and see what you got. Okay, no problem. Let me know if you got questions. And then she stops and she goes, I'm so glad you're here. We've needed a store like this for so long.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, excuse me? Can you help me with some crystals? Because my friend is really sick and I truly believe in crystal energy and I'd like to get her some to help her with this journey she's on. When I tell you, my mouth fell open and I inserted my foot for stuff I hadn't even said out loud because I made a snap judgment on her and it was unfair. And here she came in excited that I'm here. So that's what I mean by there's more of us than people realize. They just need a safe space that they can come to and be themselves without judgment. So
Absolutely.
I had to check myself. How's that?
Absolutely. And, you know, the community is good to have you for you providing that safe space because they're far and few between. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with a relative of mine not too long ago, an older relative who, you know, back in the day, they didn't have metaphysical stores. They had the grocery, they had the corner store, and then there was a little shop in the back that nobody talked about, you know, and you went behind the curtain.
Went
And
behind
a lot
that
of
curtain.
and a lot of those, they're still around in some places, but there was a period that they all vanished, you know, and that's where, you know, I've read articles where they talk about how hoodoo and voodoo and all of that's dead in the South, that it doesn't exist in the South no more. And, you know, now, yeah. But now, you know, you know, whether it's social media or just the community in general, you know, those safe spaces now being opened up. You know, I mean, you're seeing like, and in South Carolina in particular, you hear a lot of talk about the Gullah Geechee community and stuff. Whereas before, unless you were from the area,
you didn't even know.
You had no idea what people were talking about, you know. And now, you know, it's a thing, it's a known thing, and it's celebrated almost nationwide. You know, people coming from California, Alaska to come to the South to experience these cultures and these safe places. You know, it's a beautiful thing. You know, and it's not it has not been painless, obviously, but it's very encouraging.
This is the double-edged sword of the internet and exposure. On one side, you're dealing with the stupid, you know, everybody is this, that, and the other, and you asked me last week how to make an oil, and then two weeks later, you're selling it as an expert kind of thing. Yeah. But then the flip side to that is we get the opportunity to show the truth behind our practices and to take the fear and these horrible stigmas that have been attached to us out of the question, out of the equation. You have the opportunity to show people this is what we do. I'm not going to tell you all my secrets, but I am going to show you that what we do is as important as what you do. And ultimately, if you're true to your spiritual path, we all have the same goal in mind. You just approach it with different deities, different energies, and from a different aspect. But the end result is still the same. So having the internet culture exposed so much has given a lot of us a stage to actually teach properly, as opposed to these myths and you know whatnot. And you know what I'm talking about because you do it yourself. You spend a lot of time specifically online creating communities where people can come and be educated or offer education. That wouldn't have happened, you know, a decade ago. It wouldn't have been acceptable. So, you know, publicity has that double-edged sword, and you have to decide which side of that sword you're going to sit on.
Yep, absolutely. Well, like I said, it's very encouraging, and you know, thanks to people like yourself, you know, for creating those safe spaces and providing the education and patience, a whole lot of patience. That
okay,
you know,
I don't have a high reserve of that. And those who have ever been one of my students, they know I am that elder that will bop you over the head because I don't have time for this. I'm just that person. I don't have patience like that.
in a lot of ways, I mean, that's how I learned. That's how you learned. And in a lot of ways. So sometimes you need that bop on the head. That bop on the head can be just as much a learning experience as anything else.
And look, let me tell you, I don't care how long I've been practicing, my elders will still set me straight if I get too full of myself. You have to be humble in this field. You cannot allow ego to lead. You have to be humble, and you have to be willing to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but let me speak with my elders and I'll get back to you. That's the way to do this, not I know everything and you can come to me for, no, you should always be learning.
Absolutely. You know, there are no masters, only students on different journeys.
Even when you have that label in front of your title, you still have space to learn. I may be a master herbalist, I still take classes because things change and how they're applied changes, and new science has developed new things. You just have to be open to learning more. Besides, don't you think you know everything? What you here for? You're
right.
What's your purpose at that point?
Absolutely. Now, one final question. When you gonna write a book?
Oh, Jesus. Okay, in all fairness, you are quite literally, we are only day 6 into 2022, and you are the third person to ask me this question in 6 days. My answer is I don't know. 1, I don't know what I would write about. 2, with so much on my plate, I don't have the bandwidth to expand to writing a book, because that takes dedication. You know, you're not going to just write something real quick just to get it out on the shelf. So I don't have an answer for that. It's there. I know that it's there. I just don't know when, and I don't know what it's going to be about. I have a feeling it'll be several different, but maybe in a series of books. Now, having said that, the program that I wrote for my Alchemy 101 class, one of the folks that I had read through it told me I should publish it as a workbook, because it has pages in there that anybody can use, regardless of what your practice is. I'm still on the fence about that. I haven't decided. And if I don't use my specific packet for the class, I may actually rewrite it so that it's not exactly what I'm teaching, but something similar, and you can get benefit from it.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, just so you know, regardless of what you decide to write about, I got a space saved right over there. Just for you.
Thank you. The same goes for you. I'm still waiting for you. So we're gonna have to go on a book tour when we finally do get these books out of our heads and onto the actual printed page.
That we can. That we definitely can. Well, Mama, tell them one more time where you're at.
I am at 315 Highway 90, Suite H in Waveland, Mississippi. The website is www.ebonysage.com. You can find me on Facebook, Ebony Sage Apothecary, Instagram, Ebony Sage Apothecary, TikTok, Ebony Witch. You can find me. I promise you can find me. I promise. And if you can't find me, go ask somebody. They'll point you in the right direction.
Excellent. Well, as always, Mom, it was a pleasure.
Always.
Next time we definitely need to not wait so long.
Yeah, this won't be happening again. I need doc time. This was too long.
Absolutely. Well, Mama, you have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining me today. I really
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
As always, love you.
Mwah.